Good morning. Today is Friday, November 12th, 2021, and I'd like to share with you a small piece excerpted from the writing of Aviva Zornberg. So, a curious and telling feature of Yaakov's life is that the central events happen at night. In our Parsha, Yaakov leaves home and dreams a dream at night of the ladder, connecting heaven and earth. We've discussed this several times this week. In next week's Parsha, Vayishlach, when he returns home after many years of being away, Yaakov wrestles at night with a stranger, perhaps an angel. And there is the prayer that Yaakov establishes for all time. Avraham establishes the prayer of Shachris in the morning. Yitzchak establishes the prayer of Mincha in the afternoon. Yaakov establishes Mariv, nighttime prayer. What is Yaakov teaching us about night? What tool is Yaakov giving us with Mariv, the nighttime prayer? Let's remember the context of this first nighttime in our Parsha. Yaakov is leaving home. He is going into exile. And as he leaves, the sun sets, Kivo HaShemesh. When he returns, over 20 years later, in next week's Parsha, after wrestling with a stranger through the night, Vayizrach lo HaShemesh, the sun rises. The entire period of many years of Yaakov's lives, in between those two nights, is one long, dark exile. Zornberg writes, in leaving home, Yaakov goes out into exile. This is an exile not only from his geographical home, but in some radical sense, from himself. This is what happens at night in Golus, both on a national level and for each of us as individuals. There is not only physical exile and persecution. Remember, Yaakov left home when his brother Esav threatened to kill him. But exile is also confusion, lack of vision, lack of direction, lack of confidence. Zornberg writes, here, at night, in exile, nothing is clear. All is shifting. Phantasm. Illusion. The Medrash says that when we see in our Parsha, Vayifka b'makom, and Yaakov happened upon the place where he spent the night, the Medrash says that was Ra'ah Migdash b'chorbano. He saw the place of the Holy Temple in its destroyed state. He saw destruction, which leads to exile. He saw the place of the Beis HaMikdash in its destroyed state, as it is throughout exile, as it is today. But at the same time, after his dream of the ladder, as his exile begins, God speaks to him when he awakes. And God says to him, V'hine anochi imach, behold, I will be with you, Yaakov. Ushmarticha b'chol asher telech, and I will guard you wherever you go. V'hashivisicha el ha'adama hazos, and I will come back with you. I will return you to this land, to your home. Ki lo ezavcha, because I will not forsake you. Ad asher im asisi es asher dibarti lach, until I've had a chance to fulfill that which I am promising you. This is the first instance of a phenomenon that is known by the expression Imo anochi batzara. When we suffer, God is with us. God is also, so to speak, suffering along with us, present with us, in exile, in night. And this is a new note in the history of God's relationship with man that he expresses for the first time to Yaakov. I'm with you. I will accompany throughout all the vicissitudes of exile. And with this, there is a buoyancy Yaakov will experience as he walks through the darkened world. Because there's a promise that God makes to be with Yaakov in the darkness. There is a new sense of God involved in the steps of the journey. The promise to be with you translates as a mitigation of the loneliness of the human being moving downwards and upwards, prey to the contingencies and mutability of destiny. The theme of Yaakov's life is that the turbulence of the night contains an internal structure because God is with him. This is the treasury of the night, the power of God with him in the phantasmagoria of the dark. The significance of nighttime for Yaakov is that he saw exile. He saw persecution. He saw destruction, and he saw loneliness. And he heard from God how he would survive it. Anochi imach, because God said, I am with you. We've discussed before many times Tfilos Avos Tiknam. Each of the three prayers, the three Amidahs, morning, afternoon, and evening, are established by the patriarchs. Doesn't mean the words of the Amidah, the words of the Shemona Esrei that we say morning, evening, and night, they're almost the same words. But the mood, the emotion, the point of view is different for each of them. Each one of our patriarchs had a unique relationship with God. That's why we say Elokei in the beginning of the Amidah. We don't say Elokei Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, the God of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. We say Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov, the God of Avraham, the God of Yitzchak, the God of Yaakov, because each of them had their own unique relationship with God. It's the same God, but it's a unique relationship. Avraham established Shachris. He prayed to God in the morning at a time of compassion and sunlight and clarity. He related to God in the morning with confidence, with optimism, with hope and gratitude. That was the mood of Avraham's prayer. Yitzchak established Mincha, the afternoon, which is a time of danger, a time of vulnerability filled with worry, desperation, with the setting of the sun. Yaakov prayed to God at night, where there is this dual nature, this paradox Because on the one hand, at night, there is destruction and exile and fear and confusion, and hope for the dawn, because God is with us through our night. The phrase Tfilas Arvis, the prayer of nighttime, it's an oxymoron. Night implies we are alone and vulnerable and distant from God, while prayer implies connection, a relationship with God. But that's Yaakov's legacy. And it is a legacy that is important, crucial to us as a people, and it is relevant to every single one of us as individuals in what we're going through in our own lives. Yaakov's legacy is to perceive that God is with us in darkness, and to be able to feel the energy, the buoyancy, the electric charge that God gives us, and ultimately, with God's presence at night, the mitigation of our loneliness and anxiety. It doesn't remove the darkness. It doesn't remove destruction and exile and loneliness. But it gives us the strength to survive it. And not just survive, but to emerge from that darkness, from that destruction, from that exile, and again, on a national level and on an individual level, with even greater strength, to find coherence within chaos. And the key to that is to remember, Hinei Anochi Imach. I will be with you, God says to every one of us. Ki lo ezavcha. I will not forsake you, God says. It's not easy to hold on to that when it's dark, when we're afraid, when we're lonely. It's not easy to hold on to that. But we have done it many times in our history. And we will do it now, in whatever present darkness we find ourselves. And our capacity to do it comes from Yaakov, who discovered the ability to pray at night. A wonderful day and a beautiful Shabbos. And I look forward to seeing all of you soon in person.